Oh, hello again everybody. It's been over a year since we last changed the oil on the motorhome, so it's about time she had a bit of a service. Well, I'm not going to film the entire oil change and air filter change process because we've already done that in an earlier video, and I'll put a link to that on the end screen. However, there are a couple of things we're going to do a little bit better this time. And the first is that we're going to replace the little copper washer thing. It's like a crush washer. You can perhaps see the difference in thickness between the new one and the old one. And that's because the old one has obviously been crushed down. We certainly reused it last time, and it's probably been reused before, I'm guessing. But you can get these from JK Towers. Again, I'll put a link in the description. And that should help seal the sump plug a little bit better. Last time I bought a new sump plug off eBay, which said it was for this model, but it actually didn't fit, so we ended up reusing the old sump plug. And there's no reason not to. We put a new washer on it. We're also this time going to use this mineral oil. Now last time we used a semi-synthetic oil because that was what was recommended on an oil provider's website that I looked up. But I've heard a lot since about how really in these engines we should be using a mineral oil. Now semi-synthetic oils like we used last time are still mostly ordinary oil. It's just that they've got chemical compounds added to them to sort of improve them and make them more slippery, I suppose. And one of the things that's commonly added are esters, and they are made from acids that are condensed with alcohols to make a sort of a compoundy sort of stuff. And the result is that when the oil is used in the engine, it can become a bit more acidic than the old mineral oil did, and it can attack the gaskets and seals in the engine if it's not designed to take it. Our van has the 2.5D diesel engine, and that I think was designed in the sort of late 70s, 80s time. A lot of shops will tell you when you go in and ask for mineral oil that you shouldn't use it in cars and vans made after the 80s really. But of course our engine was designed a long while before then. So I think the advice that I'm reading probably is sound. I've noticed a little bit of seepage around our sump gasket, that sort of thing. Nothing major that we'd worry about, but maybe it is a bit healthier to use this mineral oil. It's a 2050 as well, so it'll be a little bit thicker and may in fact make the engine a little bit quieter perhaps, you never know. We'll see how that turns out. Anyway, I'm going to chuck it in. As usual, Mr. Gingy is supervising from his little bit of carpet. What do you reckon, Mr. Ginge? Do you reckon that's a sound theory about the mineral oil? Yeah. Well, I reckon we'll give it a shot, eh? Good old boy. Look at that, look, it really is a nice golden colour, nice and gloopy. Splendid. That's lovely new oil in the engine. Now the other thing I'm going to do is to replace the fuel filter. That may help with the sluggish performance of the van. Possibly our old filter is all clogged up. They're not the fastest vans in the world anyway, but ours is noticeably slow. So we'll give this a shot. It can't hurt anyway, can it? So let's put that in. Now before I start dismantling anything, one of the things I'm going to do is to check that the fuel filter is roughly the same height, which it is, as the old one. Because I did notice when I bought this there's a number of different types listed. And I think some of the ones, I think the Peugeot derivatives of this van have like a spin-on one, more like an oil filter. And I think there are a couple of different lengths of this sort of cartridge type. So definitely worth checking that before you take the old one out. Now the whole thing's held together by this bolt that runs through the top of the housing into sort of bottom housing. So I'm going to give that a good old squirt with plus gas and let that soak for a little while. Also put my bowl underneath the truck to try and catch any fuel that spills out. And be a bit kind to the environment, eh? Also, good idea, wear some gloves, eh? Now you can see there is quite a bit of mankiness in the bottom of our fuel filter housing there. I'm going to clean all that out, I think. Should come off relatively easy. I've just got to disconnect the sensor, which I think is fuel pressure. Yeah, you can see a few sort of lumps and bumps in there, bits and pieces. And a bit of, I suppose that's what you call varnish from the fuel. Anyway, I'm going to give that a bit of a clean up with a rag, I think. So there we go, that's that cleaned up quite nicely. The outside. It's rather annoying, they don't give you new washers for the fuel filter when you buy the fuel filter. If I'd have known that, I would have bought some more, but going to have to try and reuse these. Also given the bleed screw here a good old soaking in plus gas, so that's ready for when we need to use that. So I've now loosened off this little bleed screw a couple of turns. Just going to prime the pump by pumping this until hopefully we get some diesel come out. Lovely. Very gently with this, obviously a massive spanner and a tiny bleed screw, so hardly any pressure at all there. Righto, well, the moment of truth. Will she start or will it still be full of air? Wait for the preheat, then give it a shot. Seems pretty good to me. Well, that's all for now. If you enjoyed it, press like. Subscribe if you want to see some more. And ring the bell to be notified when we upload something new.